That's right. We do enclose
Supposed to.
on by the development agreement.
He's not here yet.
And the acquisition of property.
Want to close first?
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's call this
Recording in progress.
this study session to order. We do have a need for a closed meeting for two items. One, land acquisition and development agreement discussion, real estate. Is there a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Motion by Fred, second.
Second.
By Catherine. Any further discussion? I've seen them, Fred, have you vote?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Tasha?
Yes.
All right, we have three to go in a quorum to go into.
An overview here. As you know, as city council members, you've gotten some complaints from parents and neighbors in Draper about scooters. So it's an issue that we seem to be running into perpetually. And it's kind of a sticking point between like parents who want their kids to be able to use it, and then we've got a lot of safety concerns around the use. So we wanted to have our crime analyst kind of start off and give you a sense for what's been going on just in the past 2 years between 2023 and 2025. And so that way you can see, what the numbers are, what the injuries, kind of statistics are, where they're happening in the city as well. I don't want to do his presentation for him. Is he here?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, okay, great. Come on up. Hey, let's get started. Sorry.
You're kind of just filling dead space.
Yeah. What are you doing? Okay.
You're basically saying she's doing a good job.
Yeah, you can keep going if you want. Hello, my name is Lee Chaplin. I'm the crime analyst for Draper PD. Thank you. So Chief Ferguson asked me a few months ago to look into this topic of electric vehicle accidents, primarily looking at scooters. So for context, we looked at January 2023 through December 2025, just a month and a half ago at this point almost. We had 29 accidents involving electric vehicles, obviously not including cars. So that includes scooters, motorcycles. 25 of the 29, which is obviously the vast majority, were electric scooters. These accidents were distributed evenly throughout this city. There was no concentration in school zones or residential neighborhoods, which is kind of surprising given that they are primarily driven by adolescents. The ages of the individuals involved in all these accidents was 9 to 58 years old. So wide range, however, mostly ridden again by juveniles. 12 of the accidents involved children 15 years old or younger. An additional 5 were between 16 and 17 years old, so that's 17 of the 25 that were driven by juveniles total. In terms of fault, reading the reports and looking at the body cams, at least 12 of the accidents and looking at the evidence were due to the scooter occupant driving recklessly with excessive speed. And I say at least 12 because I think it's more than that, but that's how many it was obvious. Similar to car accidents, it's very difficult for a police officer to determine that after the fact, unless you have witnesses or traffic cameras. 16 accidents occurred in the crosswalks. Again, that's the vast majority. And most of the time the vehicle or the car drivers were saying that the scooter darted out and was not visible to them at any time. In terms of, here's a map. As you can see, our primary campuses in Draper are Corner Canyon, only 3 in that area. The vast majority happened actually at 123rd and State Street. There's another dot hidden behind that one to the left. There's actually 7 in that area alone of 123rd and State Street. So 7 again of the 29. All those in red had injuries, which was 16 total.
That is scary to think you'd have someone under 15 years of age in that high traffic area on a scooter.
Yeah. So why are they happening in crosswalks? Is the scooter crossing the crosswalk?
They're primarily not looking for traffic or expecting a car to automatically stop, and they're starting out.
But the scooter is in the crosswalk.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, 16 of the 29 occurred at crosswalks. Other locations where parking lots had a few. sidewalks had, I wanna say 3, but the primary, location was crosswalks. And again, all those in red are injuries. Excuse me, it's 14 resulted in injuries. So of the 29 total accidents, 14 resulted in injuries. Thankfully, we have not had anything that was catastrophic or fatal. That said, 7 of those 14 were significant enough that the rider was actually transported to the hospital. Everything from broken bones, broken teeth, to obviously scrapes and bruises. This is just an example. The chief actually saw this while driving home. It was in 2024. A 15-year-old rider he estimated 25 miles per hour. This particular model can go about 40, so it's very likely he was going faster than that. He didn't crash into a car, or a car was not involved at all. He actually just lost his balance and crashed into the sidewalk, and then narrowly missed hitting the curb with his head. And the damage was significant enough that the scooter was actually totaled completely. So
that'll go 40 miles an hour?
Yeah.
That scooter right there.
Yep.
Yep, that's crazy.
We've heard of cases where if they have governors, they're taking them off. We've heard of cases where if you have pedals to make it look like it's assisted, they're adding them just for show. So
maybe that's just a scooter. They're not trying to fake that out into a bike. It's just a 40 mile per hour scooter.
Right. In terms of a little bit more context in terms of time, why we chose the dates 23 to 25, 2023 to 2025. This was not an issue several years ago. In 2023, of those 29 accidents, only 4 occurred in 2023. 15 occurred in 2024, and then 10 in 2025. So obviously 25 was a better year, but still a significant issue in Draper. That's all I got. I know it's brief, but any questions you have for me in terms of the data that we collected? And this is only the cases that obviously we heard about. So I'm certain there's way more out there that we don't know about, but these are the ones that were actually reported to Draper PD.
Do you know if any other cities are gathering this data like this?
It's a good question. I'm
sure they are, because we use the same reporting system, but they don't have crime analysts like we do. We use absolutely the best.
So we're saying, on average, at least 1 a month.
Yep. I mean, 10 and 25, so almost 1 a month, and then in 2024, over 1 a month.
We had one yesterday, but and after hitting the car, he fled. So estimated to be about 14, 15. So.
I did not include fleeing stats on this. I was primarily looking at accidents and injuries, but the fleeing, we do have fleeing obviously with scooters, but primarily those are the more electric motorcycles, electric bikes, and also gas motorcycles as well. We had a suspect, or a 14-year-old who lived in Bluffdale, and he actually fled multiple times over several days, and we actually identified that person, but 14-year-old on a gas motorcycle. But most of the time those fleeings are motorcycles, not scooters.
I have just a couple questions. Is it against the law to ride the scooters in the crosswalk? So I know, like, technically on a bike, you're supposed to walk it across the crosswalk. What is the law for scooters?
So Tracy will go through that.
It's legal. You can ride it in the crosswalk.
Yeah.
However, they're riding them recklessly in the crosswalks. They're not being reasonable, and
That's what the statute requires.
The statute requires that. So.
Okay.
As Tracy will show, the code is quite convoluted. Like it goes way beyond my comprehension. So it's kind of a gray area for sure.
Okay.
So,
My other question is there an age for electric scooters in the code? Is there an age, like, do you have to be a certain
8 years
age?
old.
It's 8?
It's
8.
coming.
Oh, because
Yeah,
it's
we're-
for a
There's more
scooter.
coming.
It's not.
Well,
There's more
it's
coming.
for the one that wrecked. You can ride that as an 8-year-old in the street.
Wow.
Which, how much do those weigh? Wow.
They're heavy. That was really heavy to pick up. So maybe 100 pounds or
More than the 8-year-old probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the 14-year-old lost control, right?
Mhm.
So,
and he wasn't dodging a car. I mean, it was just his own error.
He was riding down Bangerter, and I saw him crash. He's got speed wobbles and went down. But if he'd have hit the corner of the curb with his head, it'd have killed him. So he got very lucky.
Those electric Surons will go 100 miles an hour, especially if they take the governor off of them. they'll do 80 covered.
And you can't hear them.
And you can't hear them, that's, yeah.
Thank you, Lee.
Yeah,
Thanks, Lee.
no problem.
So just to kind of get into sort of the law itself, Lee's word for it is convoluted. I'll use the scientific term of hot mess. It is like all over the place. So just really quickly, in my mind, scooters was always the little razors that you saw the kids, like just the little 2 ones that are super lightweight. But now, as you can see, there are these like huge, like enormous looking scooters. But this is the definition here. So 2 wheels on the ground, braking system, motor under 2,000 watts, handlebar stick, seating, design allowing propulsion by human power alone. Design allowing it, but I think in practicality you don't really see people like just doing this by human propulsion alone. And then max speed of 20 on paved level surface. So right now the way that the current law is structured is that scooters are generally supposed to follow the bicycle rules. They're not considered a motor vehicle, but they are exempt from a couple things that bicycles have to follow. So driver's licenses, certain light and horn and mirror requirements for bikes. They're not entitled to full lane entitlement. That's actually going to stay the same, at least at the current law that I'm looking at that they're proposing. So they don't get full lane entitlement, and then they have some specific seating rules. But then just so you know, right now what's prohibited in the current state law is operation by children under 8 years old with a motor on. And right now the law says on public property, highways, paths, or sidewalks. But the way the law is getting written right now, that would convert to on a highway only. But we're retaining our ability to regulate it on sidewalks. We didn't touch that part of the statute. Carrying more passengers than designed for. You probably see some of those kids riding where they're like super stacked up, like on the scooters, and they're not supposed to go over 15 miles per hour. Not allowed in public parking structures or areas posted as prohibiting bicycles. So, Catherine, to your question, they are allowed in crosswalks if operated safely. But I think what we're seeing is that it's not being operated safely. You've got kids that are just really
What they're doing is bombing down the sidewalk at 20 miles an hour through the intersection to the other sidewalk, and cars aren't expecting somebody to come flying across a crosswalk at 20 miles an hour. And so they make a right turn, or they.
The biker has to get off, but the scooter person.
Technically on a crosswalk.
Yeah.
And it does say, the state law does say they can operate it across the crosswalk. So there's a difference between on the bicycle laws. So when it has the motor off, it's considered non-motorized, unless it's locally prohibited. And just really quickly, I wanted to introduce to you Jenny Johnson, our new city prosecutor, who has been dealing with our cases downstairs in the court. And I just wanted her to just speak really quickly to like the challenges that she runs into. If you can mention it really briefly.
So there are some distinctions here that are going to be very difficult to prosecute. One that really comes to mind is that it's what was mentioned about a lot of these are equipped with pedals. And then there's a distinction of if you're operating the pedal, then it's not considered a scooter. But if you're not operating the pedal, then it's considered a scooter. And that's the type of distinction that's very difficult to prosecute because it's just going to come down to what somebody's claiming versus what really happened. Super hard to handle in a prosecution type setting. So what we'll be asking you all to think about as we get to the point where we're getting ready to write some code is really clearly objective, identifiable criteria that we can look to and that our officers can look to for deciding what's a violation and what's not.
Thank you. Right now that's just an infraction level, speaking of violations. And then the way that state law is written right now is that it allows cities to regulate scooters to some degree, including sidewalk use and speeds. And that's being retained in the proposed bill as well, that we can regulate this on our sidewalks if we want to. Okay, so speaking of sidewalks, it's only allowed on sidewalks if the municipality has authorized it, which we have not. So we don't have this in our code that it's allowed on our sidewalks. But you'll notice there's kids riding these on sidewalks all the time. Well, this is how it is right now. So this is the current law.
And the code.
Yeah, so the current code, and we do not, like I said, we don't have an ordinance that allows kids to ride these on the
See, I
sidewalk.
think we've understood that they were allowed on sidewalks.
I did understand
Didn't
that.
you?
Yeah.
So we just don't have a code that allows it. And then, so that's something that we wanted to start putting on your radar because we were like, at least if we can sort of get you thinking on some of this stuff, because where do you want these kids operating this? Do you want them on the sidewalk? Do you want them in the streets? Now you'll see with some proposed law change, maybe that will factor into your decision, like on how you want to treat that. But just generally speaking, we have adopted the state traffic code. We have generally prohibited motorized vehicles in our parks, trails, and rec areas in Title 15, and it's unlawful to use scooters or similar devices in a dangerous or unsafe manner or to obstruct roadways. So that's just kind of the city, what we speak to scooters about. And then our police officers can stop scooters if they see kids riding, like if they've got reasonable cause for like these reasons. If it looks unsafe, unequipped, or it's in disrepair. But you probably noticed that you're running into parents who get really agitated when the police start kind of stopping kids on these, and then it tends to be, you know, a challenge between enforcement and this parental like sort of oversight or lack of oversight on the scooters. So I wanted to let Chief Ferguson kind of take it from here just after so he can kind of sum up here, because one of the things that we have seen is that Representative Cutler has sponsored HB 381, which is now on its second substitute. So we're seeing some changes because it is a problem, right? So I think a lot of cities have different approaches to how they've been trying to regulate scooters, but the new proposed bill would allow 8 to 15-year-olds to operate scooters and e-bikes either under direct adult supervision, so an adult has to be supervising them, or they have to obtain a safety certificate. So that actually, I think, is a really great, like, you know, proposal in terms of like how to get some of these kids aware of some of like the traffic situations that they're encountering when they're going through crosswalks.
I guess that all depends what that safety certificate entails,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I have a hard time seeing an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old really comprehending
Right.
what that means.
Mm-hmm. It will allow 16-year-olds to operate without adult supervision or the safety certificate, and then it does impose a helmet requirement for anyone under 21 years of age, unless they're renting it, like one of those Lime scooter situations. And then cities can still prohibit e-motorcycles and the high-power e-devices on sidewalks and trails as well. So I'll let Chief Ferguson take it from here, but essentially we want you to start thinking about like, where do you want to allow scooters? Like how are you wanting to approach this?
So Tracy, if we prohibit e-motorcycles on sidewalks and trails, that basically prohibits them in the city. Because if they won't be allowed on a sidewalk and trail, they're not street legal to be allowed on the street.
Correct.
Right? So
That's right.
where would they be allowed?
Off-road, where they're intended to go. I mean, they're
Go out to
intended to
the
be an
West
OHV
Desert.
vehicle, not in the West Desert
Yeah.
or somewhere where they can.
Right on Cottonwood Heights.
Mm-hmm. It would
Sandy.
make enforcement easier if we wanted to go in that direction.
So, and I'll just sit here, but the things that we're looking for is something actionable by the council. I mean, I read through the 1,350 lines of the new proposed law, and it gets really confusing. But things like 21 and under have to have a helmet. That's pretty easy for us to look and say, I think that guy looks like he's 15. He doesn't have a helmet. I can pull him over. But when we start getting into some of the other things, it gets really gray area for us. Sidewalks. Do you want them on the sidewalks? I can tell you I receive a lot of complaints from our citizens about almost being run over on our trails, like right down here in the city trails. And if we want that, do you want to create some there? I didn't see anything in Cutler's bill about giving an audible before you overtake a citizen or a pedestrian from behind. Do you want something like that? If we don't want them on our sidewalks, then you have to consider this, and this is something that I battled in Provo too, is we want to propel these kids out into the street now. And so if we want them on the sidewalk, what speed limit do you want them to be able to go? If they're entering into a crosswalk where we're seeing the majority of our accidents, they're entering the roadway at 20 miles an hour plus. Do you want them to get off it and walk across it? That's something actionable by us. If they're riding through it, we can pull them over for it if you decide to go that route. So there's a lot to consider. Tracy and we put together some things here, so.
We would cite them and prosecute them under city code.
Yes,
Yeah.
We'd come up with our own code,
yes.
and we could all work together to define.
And the new
lawful
state
items.
code is really putting a lot back on the municipalities. Sandy City, for instance, adopted one, 16 and under can't ride them, period. That's their easy way out. But believing also that 16 and over are probably gonna get a driver's license to drive a car anyway. Has it worked? Their chief told me so, but it makes it easier to enforce.
You're talking infractions in the city code? Well, like maybe an escalator, if you get 3 in a year, goes
Yeah.
to class C or
Some,
something.
yeah, for sure.
And on the e-motorcycles, they're not insured. They are causing accidents. They are fleeing from us. And when we do pull them over, we have been impounding them when they stop for us. But they are a big burden in the city, and I receive a lot
When
of
they
complaints.
flee, are you able to catch them or
No.
find them later?
Um,
Cause there's no way to connect them to the bike, is that why?
We catch them if one of their friends stops and tells us who it is. We catch them if we see them another day and we watch them, with a drone or something, pull and dismiss, and then we get them. But when they flee, it's not worth it. The risk is not worth the reward to us. One of these kids is going to flee and crash and kill themselves, or somebody else is, we don't chase them.
That's a good policy.
I'm on the SCC at Draper Park Middle School, and this is something that we talk about at almost every meeting. There's 40 to 60 kids who ride them to school every day. It causes problems in the parking lot. It causes problems in there's a lot of traffic coming, and so it's definitely a problem. And I love the idea of easy, actionable, requiring a helmet. Like if they're going to be riding them, I think the real question, they are definitely riding them on the sidewalk now, and they're 12-year-old kids, right? They're going to junior high, and so I think that's a big question.
What about impounding them, those electric motorcycles, when they're at school? Will the district work with us to let you go on?
The e-motorcycles,
Right.
if we have literally had to set up spotters to watch them drive in off the roadway, and then when they get off the bike, we'll walk up to them and issue them a citation, so it's safe, so they don't flee, and then impound the bike. The scooters, no.
No, I'm talking about the e-motorcycle.
The e-motorcycles are, yeah. We don't have a problem with, I believe it's class 1 bikes that are pedal assisted,
Right.
that only go up to 20 miles per hour, and then the motor turns off. We just don't see a problem with those. And those are allowed on our trails.
Any questions? Do you wanna propose some city code with some actionable stuff to bring back?
We can do that. We'll continue to just monitor the bill as it goes through and see what we do, but we wanted to put it on your radar to just kind of highlight the existing deficiencies, the proposed fixes, the issues that we're dealing with as a city, things you might want to consider, what you want to see, going forward. Like, how do we as a city want to start treating this to make sure that we're, keeping kids safe? And I think that's probably, the overarching goal here is the public safety component.
I would, like to consider at least raising that age above 8 years old if we were to vary from, I think, 12 or 13 or even older, but I'm just.
You're saying Sandy's banned the scooters?
Or you just ban it under 16, I mean, that's
Under 16, no scooters, no anything.
I mean, that might be something we might wanna consider.
There's going to be a lot of parent pushback from that. We have those parents who give their kids a $5,000 scooter to drive to school. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying they're right.
The only thing I would bring back to it is the traffic accidents we've had, and that's what I'm.
But if Cutler's bill passes with that provision in there, the bill takes care of that issue. They won't be driving to middle school.
Unless their parents with them.
Well, but
Well,
they can get this
certification.
license. What is
That
this?
I don't know how
And
you
that's not a
can't enforce
primary,
that.
so that's not a primary offense. We
Yeah.
can't pull them over suspecting they don't have one. We have to have another violation before, just like a driver's
Right.
license.
You can't pull them over and just say, hey, do you have your safety
No,
certificate?
can't do that. They have to have committed a violation, an
Right.
infraction in front of us.
It has to be reasonable cause, and it has to
Well, it depends on
But
the
if the
national
law, they
view.
have to have a helmet.
Sometimes the 4th Amendment's not all that important across the board. Still is here in the state of Utah.
If they pass that they have to have a helmet and they don't have a helmet, can you pull them over for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on if there is a sweep afoot. I'm just kidding.
No, a lot of the kids that we deal with are very respectful.
Yeah.
They just wanna get to school.
I'd be comfortable with like 14, 15,
Yeah.
but not really any younger.
Require a helmet,
It's scary.
No
And
scooters
21 and
under
under is
14,
required, period.
require a helmet. Yeah.
But then think about, do you want them on the sidewalk?
The biggest thing is sidewalks and crosswalks.
If we do
Yeah.
sidewalks, there has to be a speed limit, I would think.
Yeah, the bike
Cause
speed
right now
limit's
there's no speed
15.
limit.
Mm-hmm.
So bike speed limit's 15 on the trail if there's people.
What was the speed limit University of Utah put on theirs?
Probably 10.
Something.
Their trails?
No, they did a
The
speed limit
sidewalks.
on their sidewalks a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Trails or sidewalks, it's like 15 or under. At least that's what I understand the bike
Yeah.
law is, so. Unless there's no one on it, then, but if there's people around, then you gotta do an audible pass on the left, call out.
But even 15 is pretty fast if there's people.
It's very fast.
Slower than 40 though.
So the safety certificate, we don't know what that's gonna be yet.
Right.
But we can make our requirements more stringent.
You could put a speed limit on the sidewalk, you could say, 10 miles per hour you could require the audible as you overtake somebody.
They can make it more stringent, not less.
It's gonna be hard for our prosecutor to
Right.
enforce a speed limit, but
Mhm.
if she has enough witnesses that say, I think it was this, that might work, but no helmet, easy.
Easy. Yep.
No audible call, probably easier, but not really that
I think
easy.
they should get off to use the crosswalk. I think it's really unsafe that they're
Mhm.
speeding.
It's a great way to slow it down too,
Right.
right?
Right.
If you have
It should be the same as a bike.
Well, we have data too that
Do you
would
really
show
get
that.
off your bike when you're in Prescott?
Yeah, I do. I make the kids do it.
Yeah, I make
I've
my
never
kids
done
do
it,
it.
but
I think the other
Hey,
thing you might
don't-
wanna consider
don't-
is, will you allow them on
That's on the
the paved
record.
trails?
I just wanted to
If they
ask you.
ride the paved trails to school. So do you wanna leave it prohibited, or do you wanna put them, let them go on that?
Well,
I think that's where a lot of our complaints come though,
Yes.
on those paved
No,
trails.
I-
Somebody gets run over by it.
but again, back to, I don't want kids that are under 14 using them.
Mhm.
So that's gonna cut out a big chunk of
It
this
would.
population, right?
Yeah, that's good, Tosh, 'cause it's easy to prove.
Has Cutler's-Bill made it out of committee yet?
It did.
Yeah.
I think it went through unopposed, wasn't it? Didn't it say that? Bill, you said.
I don't know the status
I'm
of
pretty
it.
sure.
How do we feel about the age?
I'm good with 14.
I'm good with older than 8. I wonder, like, it would be interesting to see the difference. I think 14, you basically cut out the junior high, because kids turn 14 in 8th grade or to a certain extent, and I think that could help a lot. But I do think, like at Draper Park and the other schools, we have so many kids who don't qualify for a bus, who don't, and so there are a lot of people who I think rely on that. I would be interested in, like, if we set good boundaries and it was 12 instead of 14. I don't know, but I'm not like opposed to 14, but I think
I'm just not sure that 12-year-olds are ready to be driving
I would want my
motorized vehicles on the
12-year-old,
roadway.
Yeah.
I have a 12-year-old and they are definitely not.
Yeah,
Right. I have a 14-year-old who's in 8th grade, and I think he's maybe
Yeah.
about mature enough to understand rules of the road.
But that's the part where you trust hope that the parent is gonna use good judgment, and obviously it's.
Oh, I see a lot of parents
It's
in
a state, yeah. House
Yeah.
bill, HB 381.
Well, that's what I'm saying, you would hope, but you don't see that.
It's House Bill 381 if you ever look at it.
Yeah, it's on third reading, so it's,
I just don't think
Yeah, House third
12-year-olds
reading calendar.
should be driving to school. I don't think so.
All right, we're on to the next item. What we got next is,
Thank you, Tracy.
let's go ahead and take Linda's out of,
go ahead, Linda.
yeah.
Chapman, thank you. Thank you for.
Linda, was yours a PDF or a?
You'll want it tomorrow.
PowerPoint. I have two.
This is the policy one?
I have a couple of items for you tonight. I'll try to be as brief as possible. We have a communications policy that has been drafted and would be coming to you soon for approval at a council meeting. This expands on what has been in place for Draper City with communications. There was an existing social media policy to some degree, and also touching on employee use of social media, and, what was the other part? I just wanted to give you the background today for what we're looking at doing as far as expanding it and why it matters. I know of 3 or 4 cities currently that are looking at implementing a communication policy because they have nothing, and they're currently dealing with contention among council, mayor, and public image issues. So the reason it matters is because we communicate constantly, and we have a variety of audience, residents, businesses, media, partner agencies, and our employees. And every email, press release, post, and public statement reflects the city's credibility. So if there's a mistake, it can be spread far and wide and really affect the image and credibility of the city. So a policy that's comprehensive ensures that those messages are clear, consistent, lawful, and trustworthy. A main area of focus is consistency and accuracy, because without a policy, messaging can become fragmented as different departments or leaders are saying different things about the same topic. And a policy defines who speaks for the city and how information is approved and what standards apply. This consistency prevents confusion, reduces rumors, and helps residents understand what the city is actually doing. Legality is a huge part of this. There's many lawsuits out there where an elected representative or a city manager or an employee has posted something publicly or made a public statement that comes back to put the city in a bad legal position. So the policy supports transparency while also ensuring compliance with public records laws, privacy requirements, and accessibility standards. This coming April, the federal government we have a deadline for accessibility requirements that will go into place, and so we're really looking at everything now as to how to comply with that. So that is part of it. And it reduces the risk of unauthorized statements, misinformation, or legal exposure, and that protects the city and the elected officials. So for you as elected officials, you have a unique role as public leaders and communicators. The policy clarifies when officials are speaking on behalf of the city and when they're speaking in a personal or political capacity. And it doesn't restrict free speech. That's one of the criticisms that communications policy sometimes gets. It just provides guardrails so that officials can communicate confidently, accurately, and fairly, and ensure that residents receive the same core information. So some practical examples of things we want to avoid. We want to avoid contradictions. Problems arise when different officials or departments publicly share conflicting information. And the policy establishes official channels to receive verified information and to receive updates as the facts change or as the situation evolves. People know where to go to central official channel. And this prevents confusion and preserves public confidence in the city leadership. Another example with media, if reporters contact multiple employees or officials for comment if there's inconsistent answers, it can unintentionally create the perception that there's disagreement going on, and where possibly it doesn't exist. And then the policy helps ensure accurate information is shared first with the elected officials, adding context and leadership perspective. Another example, an important example, is during emergencies such as a wildfire, water advisory, or infrastructure failure. Well-intentioned but uncoordinated social media posts or media interviews by individual employees or officials can rapidly spread outdated or incorrect information. We know in our day and age how fast information can be shared. So the policy identifies official channels during emergencies, and it aligns elected officials with the staff messaging. And that leads to clearer communication that protects public safety. Along with the comprehensive communications plan, I've drafted a crisis communication plan. So this is specific to the chain of events the process that we would go through in a crisis. And that could be public safety emergency, a major service outage, a public image crisis, or any other matters that are more urgent.
Contaminated water.
Yes. Think about that. The crisis plan can be either integrated with the communication policy, or it can be an appendix to our emergency operations plan. And that's a decision that we'll have to make. And so the reason why this is happening, or why we're proposing this, is because it is a best practice. As I mentioned, there's a lot of cities dealing with issues because they don't have a policy in place, and there are entities dealing with issues because they haven't followed the policy. So it's not about control, it's about keeping that trust that we have with the community, coordinating effectively so that the information gets shared appropriately and accurately. And so the city speaks with one voice and supports you as elected officials and better serves our residents. Effective communication is essential to effective governance. Are there any questions?
I feel like you've talked all about a policy, but I haven't seen a policy. Are you going to?
Yeah, I actually, for the sake of time, didn't want to go through it step by step, but I do have it in the file if you want me to pull it up and just kind of show you the headings and the sections of kind of what it covers, if that's helpful.
I would definitely.
You want to see that?
I feel like we've kind of had an unspoken, haven't we kind of had an unspoken communication policy in some respects?
Well,
already, but
we have had the social media
it a
policy
PDF?
to some degree.
This draft book, oh, that one, okay.
And this was adapted from a combination of other cities and of situations that have come to our attention while dealing with questions and concerns in Draper. So it's not something that doesn't exist out there among other cities. It's very common. I can't really.
Yeah, you'll have to roll it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a section that covers social media, defines what that is, what the purpose is for the city using social media, the policy for who can be an administrator on the different city social media sites. A lot of times we get requests internally for a certain department to start their own Facebook page or that type of thing. And it's more effective for us to stick with a main city account rather than diversifying among 10 different departments, because people typically don't want to follow 10 different pages. So we get requests like that. It establishes groups versus pages, how we can keep track of everyone's login IDs and passwords, so that if someone leaves employment, we're not left with no access to the account, which has happened. We also have city-sponsored groups who have asked for accounts like Draper Arts Council, and we've tried to funnel them through our main city accounts, again, for the same reason. We've also had incidents where volunteers, for example, the Miss Draper program years ago, used to have every new Miss Draper each year start an Instagram. And then when they are done being Miss Draper, we have like 5 different Draper City Miss Draper accounts. So that becomes problematic, because for just clear communication and city image, we don't want to have all these unmonitored accounts hanging out there. So this covers, I think we've already talked about all this. And following the related laws for public records and HIPAA, making sure that accounts are official with blue check mark type of thing, direct messages, whether they're allowed or not, monitoring content. Then we have a social media use policy, and this tends to address more from the user side. As you know, First Amendment wise, we can't delete comments, but there's certain things that we've outlined with the help of our legal staff are not appropriate for the page, where we might be able to hide the comment and make sure that the content stays appropriate to our audience. So this outlines all of that. And this is linked to all of our social media accounts. And then we talk about copyrighted material. There's a section about employee use of social media. appropriate. I'm just going fast for the sake of time, and you will see this full copy when it comes before you, but just to give you an idea, like social media use at work, talking about city matters on personal social media pages. There's a section for elected officials with recommendations, like best practices for elected officials on social media. Primarily what you wanna, consider is having.
I'm uncomfortable with a lot of this.
Okay. These are just recommendations, it's not a must do. Because sometimes in cities, city council members or other officials have created unofficial pages and have talked about matters that are coming before the city in a way that created problems. So, our recommendation has always been to do official government pages separate from your personal Facebook and other social media accounts. Make sure it's verified, make sure it's clear that this is your city council member page and you're not speaking for the city, those types of things.
But I think some of this, I think, entails more than just, like, yeah, you mind going up, and I guess we can look at it when it gets released more.
Which one are you looking at?
Well, like the,
What was your question about it?
I'm just reading through it
Okay.
again, trying to,
And I do think
like
also
G too, I don't know.
on D, I, because they are, and I have not, but because I am an elected person, I think I can't, and maybe you're just saying, we'd sure love it if you didn't, but if I wanted to say,
Right.
I am voting for this person, or I am endorsing this person,
Mhm.
like legally I can do that on my.
Yeah, none of this is saying
that
like
right?
you can't legally do this. These
You're
are just
Some
recommendations
we don't
based
want
on
to, yeah.
issues that have come up publicly in other places. And this was all put together from a combination of other cities in Utah and nationally. This.
Yeah, I don't really want this section on elected officials and what we should or should not do. I don't think really I want you telling me what I can or cannot do on my social media page.
Okay. And it's not, you can't, it's just.
But if this is
best
out
practices,
there, then
yeah.
people are gonna say, well, this is against the best practices.
Okay. Does anybody else have opinions about this section?
I think if there was an elected officials section, having it be less prescriptive. I agree this is pretty prescriptive.
Very.
Okay.
Well, it's given guidelines, I think, for us to consider.
But it doesn't come
Things.
off like that. It sounds very much like this is the rule.
That was one of the questions we had is, does this belong in the policy or should it be a separate document that's more like recommendations when someone's newly elected and we go through training and we just, do a media training and say, these are some recommendations based on
I
issues
think it
that
could
have
be
cropped
part of
up
training,
in other cities.
but I don't think it should be in any sort of actual policy.
But I like the idea of at least giving us, it helps
Direction.
direction, I think about when I first started, and I think for you, Catherine, the reason why you wanna maybe avoid certain things and.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Like
as
you
a
probably never understood, you didn't
suggestion,
engage with the planning commission before.
Right.
I mean, and so.
Yeah, no,
guidelines like that.
But I don't like it in this context where we're
Okay.
laying out policy for the city.
Yeah, that was one of our questions. So if
I think this whole
everybody
section should
feels
get
that
cut
way.
out.
So we can take this out of this, like I said, and just put it as a document
And it
available
probably
as
needs
part
to
of
get
training.
rewritten so that it's much more of a recommendation than it is a policy.
Yes.
I think like instead of, or encouraged to, but like, obviously, like elected officials are their own person and have their First Amendment rights. These are some recommendations. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like so that, but I do think recommendations are helpful. Like I'm just sort of at like looking what other people are doing and trying to find my own way, the planning commission is a great, so after I'm sworn in, people are like, yeah, we don't really go to planning meeting, and I don't know, is there an official policy about that? I have so stuff like that is super helpful, I think, for.
Yeah, cause there have been cases where people coming in new didn't really understand the boundaries and, you know, just put
Went
themselves
rogue.
and the city in a bad position for liability.
Like, F's a
So-
good one. I mean, obviously, I don't think any of us would do that, but you can't just assume no one would do it.
Which one are you looking at?
F. I mean, that happens. People create aliases and don't you?
Yeah, there's been an incident
Yeah.
I could think of in Utah years ago with that.
Let's stick Winder. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not trying to call him that. He's a good guy.
So, okay. If everyone's in agreement with that, then we can pull this and use that more as a training
But
opportunity.
even G, I think that's maybe something we maybe need to discuss as a council, how we should engage on stuff that's gonna come before the council. Action, like what's appropriate, what isn't, so that we don't put ourselves in a.
That could go in our council rules part of
Yeah,
our
so we don't get
meeting.
ourselves in trouble.
But, and also I do think that's something that, you know, when you're trying to be, like, some people are gonna run on, I don't feel like they're communicating enough, and so they're gonna make that a priority, and they're gonna talk a lot. I think that it should be required, they should have to identify themselves, and they can say, I don't speak for the city, but this is how, but I don't know that you can say to an elected, like, you can't say certain things because they're saying, well, I'm beholden to the voters, not
Yeah,
to.
and that wasn't the intention of
Yeah.
this. These are just.
No.
I just think
Best
this
practices.
should come out of this completely.
Okay. And then we go into like the website policy, branding, public records, aspects related to the website, public notices, privacy policy, terms and conditions.
When will you get this out to them soon?
Mike's discretion, he's still reviewing it, and we were talking about
We can put we can
next
talk about the
meeting or
elected
so.
stuff in our own rules we have for ourselves in our meeting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
That's
go
easy
to,
to take out.
we got the last thing on here. Do we have 2 things left? We
So
got
I just,
we got less than 15 minutes, so I just
Okay.
wanted to move on.
I
It's a
have
lot of
one
work,
more
Linda.
quick thing on the branding.
Oh, you have that?
We go
Okay,
to
go
that
ahead.
other.
I can handle that really quick for me.
Oh, sorry.
That's a PowerPoint, right?
Yes.
So we gotta get to the next thing, so we can.
Okay, so a few council members had approached Mike, to follow up on a brief discussion we had last budget season about city signage related to branding, and so I'll just really quickly go through this. The current welcome monuments are pictured here in the top row. There's 3 that I'm aware of, and those are the locations underneath. And then here's an example of park signage. I was thinking Rhett would be here, and I was gonna give him a minute, but he is in the process of doing an inventory of all the park signage that have the previous logo on it. And he was intending with the budget, request to include a request to update all of those signs.
You're gonna put just like welcome to 1980? That's all you do is put that.
Time travel, yeah. And so these signs here are an example of, some of the park signs that are more like rules and, closing times, and there's one here that's been updated with the new logo. But one of the questions we wanna pose is, how much do we want the logo on things? Because I think with this previous logo, it's on a lot of things, and whenever there's a logo update, there's a cost to that. And replacing that can be, quite a lot. So just something for future discussion and consideration would be like, what is appropriate to put the logo on? For example, our lamp posts out here in front of City Hall, have this logo or this engraving on them. I don't know if you know, Scott, how widespread that is throughout the city, but my understanding is it's a developer cost in subdivisions to put in the lamp posts, and I don't know if they're all being done.
They don't put those kind of in.
They don't put even this one?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Even those a developer cost, We need to consider, like, do we need it on lampposts? Because every time the logo changes, then you have these outdated lampposts, and you're not gonna wanna pull the lamppost every time you get a new logo.
Yeah, that's iconic.
So as an example, Riverton City shared some information with me because 5 years ago they did a major signage update. And so there's a few different types. This is a major landmark sign that they have at main entrances to the city. It creates a strong impression and a sense of, you know, your home. There's also studies that have shown that it increases economic development. It creates a more professional image for the city, and that's more attractive to businesses. There's also the wayfinding signage, directional signage that helps point out different attractions in the city. And it's been shown to improve traffic flow and safety, even though we use our GPSs.
I like that concept.
I do too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places we could use that.
Yeah, so even though you're on GPS, if you see the sign, you're not looking at your phone, you know, to double check you're going the right way. That can help direct people. So here you can see when it's cohesive, it creates a very nice impression. All these different types of signs are in Riverton now. And this is just like a smaller welcome sign that could put at every boundary around the city. It's less expensive and it still defines the city boundary. And then there's the question of digital signage, which we've talked about before, which David Wilkes and I are in favor of, and Rhett, because we feel like it could be, you know, more effective and timely way to deliver information. There was data that showed digital captures 400% more attention than static signs, and we can use them for emergency alerts and all kinds of uses. So this is one of the examples in Harriman. And I'm sure if you've been to Harriman, you've seen these.
Yeah, I think that's where you position them is the key.
Yeah, there would need to be some study to determine traffic patterns and where it would be appropriate. Of course, there's a cost to this. 5 years ago when Riverton did their project, for just the landmark signs and the wayfinding signs, I believe it was about $350,000. So with inflation from 5 years ago, you can kind of estimate that way. I got a quote from Yesco for 2 digital signs of this type. They're on state contract, and they said it would be around $400,000 to $500,000 for 2.
That's ridiculous.
So, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So, you know, there's benefits to it that I'm sure you can recognize and are aware of. So it's just a matter of priority and cost and how soon you would want to look into that.
Thank you, Linda. Okay, Kelly, take it away.
Can we go?
David?
Cause I got David here. Is that fine if we skip you?
Oh, yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, okay, and David, you can come up here too if you want. So, a couple weeks ago, David and I met with fire because we were hoping, that we could somehow, you know, Draper Park is so small for Draper Days. Can you pull up the branding? The buffer zone. That we could somehow move the fireworks launch site, and so we would be able to use that side of the park. So we all met, yeah, the buffer one. A few of us met and looked at different sites. He got with our firework contractor, and we decided that this site was the best. This is all on city property, so we don't have to worry about getting permission from any adjacent neighbors. And the firework guy thinks it'll be great. That everybody at the park should be able to see it very well, and that our insurance is very happy that we would have it at off-site where we're not just charging by spectators. So that's kind of, this is the first step of this process. So we've decided kind of on that, if you guys like this plan, to move things around. And then the next one.
From a safety standpoint, that is a huge
safety
plus.
standpoint, yes.
And I think that's really
Pat
good.
was in the meeting. He loved it. He said our insurance company, really, and Clint, right? They fire approved of it too. So then we started thinking, okay, now we have this whole west side of the park, and then Rhett's not here, but then Rhett, then that one. Then Rhett was like, what if we move the stage over to the west area? And we haven't decided yet the orientation of the stage. It could be that you're looking straight on north, so the sun isn't a factor, or it could be angled, but somewhere over there would be the stage. And then, so there's I have a list of pros and cons, but then we flip and move the children's area on the other side. And David's been putting a lot of time into trying to figure out how we fit everything and if it works. The most recent move he just did today was, we don't think the food vendors are gonna be happy over there. The food vendors are gonna wanna be where all the people are for the concert. So.
Yeah, but couldn't you move some of them over in the parking by the playground too? I don't know.
How about you?
Yeah, probably, that's a great suggestion perhaps, but parking's at such a critical, we have so few parking spots, that's really not an option if we do that.
So there, we have some pros and cons, but we would open that north parking lot for city vehicles, parks, emergency vehicles. You guys would park there, and then we would open up the south to the public. We think, I mean, can you pull up the pros and cons real quick? This is kind of some of the pros we got. The vendors, so we would move the car show over to the west side of the park as well on Thursday night. So the vendors could get in there on Thursday, which would really help the loading part. They would get an additional day of sales. They could be there Thursday. That we have a lot of complaints from the vendors that the band is so loud they can't talk to people during the concert. So we think the vendors will really like it with the band on the other side. The viewing area for the concert we think will be great. It'll be a lot more room. And then for fireworks, we think everybody will be able to see it from that part because they're not blocked by the hill or the willow tree. The east side of the park, there's more built-in power, so that works well for David's activities. Spectators, we talked about safety there. PD looked at it and they thought it was safer for the line of sight. Pat liked that one a lot. Improved parking on the north side for you guys and the city vehicles. We talked about that, but we left it right there for now. We talked about maybe moving the business vendors because it's kind of that's so congested down there. But right now we have it in that same park. The hill by the tree is kind of a natural seating area. And then the next thing, Rhett's not here, but we'll talk about Friday night. We're considering a drone show and only doing fireworks on Saturday night. And he's got something we can pull up later too. The drone, he got a couple bids and it was like 15 to 17,000 instead of 30. And then we thought we could incorporate America's 250 and kind of make Friday night the patriotic, put America 250 up there and try the drone show. And if people hate it, we'll just say, well, we were trying to incorporate America 250. We'll go back to fireworks next year. Some of the cons are just that it's a lot of extra work for David. He has he has it all figured out. He's starting over from scratch. The food vendor, we were going to charge a little bit more to make some more money. We don't know if we can still do that or not.
Right. If you want to go back to that proposed
Shade
layout,
could be a problem too, though.
certainly, but a couple things in terms of just flow. One is what this layout does to the Thursday event. Now, as you recall, Thursday prior to for our car show on Thursday, we didn't allow the handmade market, and the car show was half north of the creek and half south of the creek. Now the car show Thursday is going to be this entire area. It'll be just an excellent place for that car show. So that knocks it out of the park. So much better for the car show on Thursday. And in terms of the concerts on Friday and Saturday, this is really an excellent layout. We'll be able to get more people if that's an inducement. Shade-wise, we don't, you don't have that willow tree. We have some shade available, but not much. And then we struggle with the food vendors. The food vendors represent a large portion of our income. They're the third highest source of income after the rodeo and after sponsorships are food vendors. If we leave them here and they're not connected to this audience, we're going to have trouble. So we need to move those food vendors.
Can they go to the retirement center in the parking lot there? I know that's more parking, but
for the food vendors.
Yeah, maybe that's
in this.
Yeah.
No. Well,
there's not great access there, is there?
Not great access. And the county utilizes the facility. Their operating hours are during our event. That's one of the cons is the library is not going to be thrilled. Just like the vendors are going to be really happy that they don't have that noise. The library's not going to like it. So it's a great layout, I think, for the concert. It has some definite pros to it.
And we thought, for the kids area too, driving down 13th East, it'll be kinda cute, you'll see all the kids slides and all the kind of park activities.
I did think that was kind of an upside for the car show, that all the people driving down 13th
Yeah.
saw all the cool cars, and if you tuck them away here, no one's gonna see them.
I agree.
Except for the children's parade, we'll be going on the same time, right, that side of the park, yeah.
Yeah. You're
That was an
right.
attraction where people didn't
I
know what
think
was going
people
on,
came
they're like, oh
and
wait,
they
there's.
saw all the really cool cars.
I did. A couple years ago, I was like, oh, look, and so we went.
I think a
because we
lot
were
of
doing
people
that,
did, yeah.
I did after talking to Mike, or seeing this on the agenda, I went and just drove in and stood, and I do think like for this stage and for the concert, that is just such a great area. I do wonder about the shade and how we could increase some shade, but just like this, it's a huge, great area for
And in terms of
concert.
shape, the bulk of your concert audience is in the blazing sun.
Right, I mean, there was really only a tiny little bit of shade.
David, do you have those the guys jumping the ramps?
I don't. Our stunt shows
Yeah, the
this
stunt
year
show.
are racing pigs. We got racing pigs, we have lumberjacks, we got the stunt dogs, we have hogs, dogs, and dogs. Lumberjack show, super exciting. They put up a 100-foot pole, they chainsaws, axe throwing, all types of things. The dog show from last year, so we have these.
So they're gonna be where the food trucks were in the past too, right?
Tentatively, we've moved things around tentatively. We stuck that there. We've got the dogs there, and we've got the hogs just north of the North Pavilion.
Because, like where you had the stunt team last year in that parking, right?
Back up there for the.
Oh, the BMX.
Yeah, where the BMX was last year.
Right.
You know, we didn't use that for parking, that you could put food trucks right there too, right?
That's
But
a possibility. That is a possibility.
You're not gonna lose any parking that we didn't have last year.
That's a good point. And you could turn that into a food court, and that would have.
It's closer.
That is a good suggestion.
And you do have people at the playground anyway, so there are people up there.
Yeah.
It's not a dead area of the park.
It is a long walk to the eating tent though, but.
Well, we can,
Yeah,
we can move around.
Yeah, we can move that around.
Are you good with this concept of switching it up?
Yeah, I
like
think you
this?
guys gotta talk it through more, but
Okay.
He kinda wants to move quickly if we can decide, so we can start planning.
Hogs, logs, and dogs.
Hogs Logs is super excited for the stunt shows this year. Should be great for families.
Lumberjack sounds awesome.
Really excited for
Send you a
that.
clip
Yeah,
on it. It's pretty
they're all
cool.
Canadian lumberjacks.
Oh, as we celebrate the 250th.
Oh, whoa.
One thing real quick too, we need to get the parade applications out, and we would like to prohibit throwing candy from vehicles this year. It's been recommended by our insurance company, and so we just wanna get your take, if you're okay, if we say that you cannot throw candy from a float or
That
vehicle.
includes us.
That includes you guys. You could have like youth council kids walking by and handing it out, or, so you can still walk the route and hand out candy, but for safety reasons, a lot of cities have gone away from throwing.
Yeah,
Well,
when you throw,
anything, not just candy.
yeah,
Right?
trinkets, any
anything.
trinkets or candy. When you throw candy, you change the behavior of the spectators. You take people who are standing on the side of the road,
We've seen it.
and you're changing their behavior. They're jumping in the road in front of vehicles.
So we have seen near
Yes.
I
You
would
have
definitely
had some near
safer if
misses.
you don't.
What about
Near-
confetti though?
near disaster.
But
Can
there
we
would
still do
still
confetti
be,
down
there
there?
still would be, like, you could be walking
You
beside
could-
the thing and throw out candy.
Certainly, and our business floats, they want to walk along and hand out.
Trader Joe's gave good stuff.
Yeah.
But
So there'll
this,
still be the walkers, just not throwing, if you guys are okay with that.
our largest parades, Days of 47, the Freedom Festival, they prohibit it. So
I can see why.
It's probably smart to do. We've dodged a few bullets.
Yeah.
One year we dodged a huge bullet. I mean, it was like, are you all good with that?
There'll be some people disappointed in that, but it is what it is.
There won't be anybody run over by it then.
Well, we can have people throwing the candy, it just won't be us off the float.
You, the walkers.
Yeah.
Okay. We just need to put that in the application that we need to get out, if you're okay with that.
Bren?
Yep, I'm good with that.
Kelly, where are we at the farm door?
Okay, we're about 2 minutes from 7, so if you wanna use the restroom, let's, we can talk more about this, I guess, later in the meeting if you want. But you got the okay to move forward, we're trying to rearrange it. You're good.
Maybe Kelly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our city council meeting this evening, February the 3rd, 2026. I'd like to call our meeting to order. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. This evening will be led by Kelly Chalberg. Go ahead, Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. All right, item number 3 is next on our agenda. It's an opportunity for general public comment to the council. Is there anyone here that would like to make general public comment?
We're here from the library.
All right, well, come up. Let me give you the rules. You've done it before, but
Yeah.
3 minutes. Give us your name and address and start your time.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I brought a friend with me today. So I'm Sarah Brinkerhoff. I'm here from the Draper Library to share some fun stuff we have going on there. I am going to share about our winter reading. So we've done summer reading in the past, and we're also doing winter reading. So it runs the month of February. You can get a free book and a $5 fine waiver. It's a great way to promote literacy, and it's really easy. Just read, set a goal and do it 20 minutes, and you can get a prize. So it's a lot of fun. Always trying to share what fun stuff's going on, so come check it out. I really appreciated those who came out for our tiny art show. We had a lot of artwork, and it was really exciting. So that was really fun, so thank you. And I have Linda here. She's one of my librarians. You might recognize her.
And I just want to invite everyone to come celebrate America 250 with us at the library. We are doing a program monthly. This month we're doing presidents. We will throughout the year be doing patriotic music. We'll highlight the 50 states. We'll do civics questions, Constitution, important dates in American history, and famous places in the United States.
Thank you.
So it's a great opportunity. I know you guys are doing stuff with that too. I also wanted to just give you a heads up. We are planning some construction at the library. So there is a good chance, you guys know how these things go in construction, that we will be closing for 3 months at the end of the year. So we'll keep you up to date on that because it will impact some of the parking lot and some of our services. So we'll let you know so the news can go out. Right now it's planned for September, October, and November, but we're waiting on some HVAC units. And if anyone's interested, we have lots of plans and stuff we're doing. It's not a big change to the building. It's mostly to the HVAC because 20 years old, you got to update it to keep it running. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Is there anyone else like to make a general public comment to the council? All right, seeing no more public comment, we'll go to item number 4, which is items for consent vote on our calendar or our agenda. Item 4A is approving the January 20th, 2026 City Council meeting minutes. Item 4B is approval of Resolution 2607. It's a resolution appointing members to the Draper City Community Engagement and Events Committee. 4C is approval of Resolution 2608. It's a resolution of the Draper City Council disposing of surplus personal property in accordance with Draper City Municipal Code 3-3150. And those are the items for consent. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
A motion by Ms. Lowry to approve the consent items. Or second?
I'll second.
Second by Fred. Is there any further discussion? And Bryn, you're on. You can hear us?
Yes.
All right. Sorry. We'll welcome Councilmember Johnson from some faraway land, but she has called in. So we appreciate it. All right. Tasha, how do you vote?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Bryn?
Yes.
Items approved unanimously 4-0. Next item is items for consideration. Item 5A is a public hearing. It's regarding the providing of local consent for a full-service restaurant license for Futio Roll Sushi Inc. I probably didn't say that right. Travis DeYoung's going to give us a presentation. Go ahead, Travis.
Okay, full service restaurant license for, I don't know how to say it either. I'd say Futoi Roll Sushi. Okay, this is where it is, up on Draper Parkway at 1442 East. They're looking for the full service restaurant license, which allows restaurants to store, sell, and serve all kinds of alcoholic beverage, drinks alongside a food purchase. So the restaurant has to be at least 300 feet away, measured by shortest pedestrian route from a community location, and it also cannot be within 200 feet, measured by a straight line from the restaurant's main entrance. So the community location includes schools, churches, public playgrounds, and parks, and public libraries. Here's the 300-foot pedestrian route measurement. So they're more than 2,000 feet away from the nearest community location, which is that church right there. So they meet that standard. And this is the 200 feet measurement in a straight line from the entrance. And there's no community location anywhere near that. So they meet that standard. Now the action is to provide local consent or deny local consent. And our code says, as far as restrictions on full-service restaurant licenses, there are no restrictions that the city can put on.
Questions for Travis? All right, thank you, Travis. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the council on item number 5A, local consent for the full-service restaurant license? All right, seeing no public comment, we'll close the public comment period, bring it back to the council.
Mr. Meyer, I'd like to make a motion to approve local consent for a full-service restaurant license.
All right, motion by Tasha to approve item 5A. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Catherine. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. Tasha, how do you vote?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Bryn?
Yes.
Item's approved unanimously 4-0. Item 5B, also a public hearing, ordinance number 1699 and 1700, an ordinance amending the official land use map and ordinance amending the official zoning map of Draper City for approximately 1.87 acres of property located at 693 East, 13800 South, 703 East, 13800 South, and 1377 South Shadow Mountain Lane, known as the Bell Peterson Guston Land Use and Zoning Map Amendments. Staff report by Mary Ann Pickering. Go ahead, Mary Ann.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a vicinity map showing the properties. There's 3 properties related to this application highlighted in red. This is 138 and this is 4th Street for reference. Again, here are the 3 properties that we're discussing as part of this one application tonight. The current land use is split between the 3 properties. This one is currently zoned residential medium density, and then these 2 are the residential low medium density category. This is the existing zoning map that's in place today. Again, that one that has the RMD land use designation is actually zoned RA2, and the other 2 properties for consideration are RA1. These, again, are the proposed conditions, or this is what they want to have as part of their land use amendment. What is proposed to happen is this Bell property, which goes all the way back to this property line here, is going to be split into be approximately about 13,000 square feet, and so it would meet the minimum for the proposed zone and then this proposed density of medium density. The Guston property right now has that medium density designation, and it would be, the land use would be changed on that one to comply with the proposed zoning. The proposed zoning is here. The Bell property, again, it would be R3, this orange color that would be compatible with the proposed land use. And then the remainder of the Bell property, the Guston and the Peterson property here would all be zoned RA2. The intent of the property owners is to change some property lines around. I'll get to that map, this one. And so the Gustons are going to basically be purchasing the back part of the Bell property here, and then there's a portion that would go to the Petersons. The Gustons are just going to develop that backyard area. The Bell property is going to stay the same. And then the Peterson property here would be developed with a single-family residence. And I did have a phone call from a gentleman that was just asking for additional information. His concern was that multifamily was going to be built here, and I said it was not. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions for Mary Ann?
How large is that new lot?
The yellow one?
I'm the one, the orange.
The orange, I want to say it's around 40. It's going to be just under an acre. So that's why we're changing it from RA1 to RA2. But there would not be enough land if they ever wanted to subdivide it.
Okay. So you're really only adding one new home.
Yeah, on that vacant lot. The home was demolished some time ago on that lot.
In the whole of the 3, there would be 4 homes total. Is that correct?
No, there would still be just 3.
So on the back lot, they're not.
They're going to improve it with some landscape and amenities for their home on this lot. So it's still going to be 3 lots for 3 houses.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mary Ann?
Well, I'm just curious, what's the reasoning and why we're rezoning the red lot? We're not rezoning that, are we?
That one is RA1 right now, I believe. No, it's RA2. You're correct. You're correct. Get to that one right here. We're changing the land use on that one.
That's all we're doing is changing.
That's all we're doing is to make them match. I don't know why that one had the R3 compatible land use designation under it, and it has the RA2 zoning.
Okay.
So we are cleaning that up. You're correct.
Any other questions for Mary Ann? Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing, or the applicant's here. Do they want to address the council? Come on up, give us your name and address.
David Gustin, 13777 Shadow Mountain Lane. Again, there's 3 lots now. There's going to be 3 lots after this. Basically, just taking my neighbor's backyard, making it my backyard. Pretty much, that's what we're doing. You can see the R3. Maybe it's somewhere else for you guys to see on your screens. But the R3 on the screen that it was on is already, I guess R3 means like 1/3 acre. That was already approved because my lot actually originated from that other lot that's already R3. The one it's not part of this application. It was done earlier. And so, I guess, how do I go back to that one? There we go. So you can see the orange R3, that one was approved when my lot was created. I built a home on it 2 years ago. And then, so just the lot to the east is the next one over. I think the plan would be that one would then be R3 also, like its next door neighbor, so that I can add his backyard to my backyard. And but again, no new homes. There was a home on the other parcel. He's getting the only reason he's part of the application is because he needs like a few feet for what he's planning to build on there. But there was an existing home that he raised. And so, again, 3 lots, there were 3 homes. There's still going to be 3 lots, 3 homes. And so, again, just enlarging my backyard, shrinking the backyard on the house that's on 138th. Any questions for me?
Any questions? Any questions for the applicant, council members? All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the council on item 5B, ordinance 1699 and 1700? All right, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public hearing. Council members, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinances 1699 and 1700.
A motion by Fred to approve 5B, 1699, 1700 ordinances. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Bryn from the faraway land. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. Fred, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bryn?
Yes.
Tasha?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Items approved unanimously 4-0. That takes us to item 5C, which is an action item. It's approval of Resolution 2609. It's a resolution expressing Draper City's intent to adjust its common municipal boundary with Alpine City, authorizing and scheduling a public hearing and providing for notice thereof. Well, Kelly, that's yours. Go ahead.
This is the item we talked about in the study meeting. I do have David Mortensen here if you have any more questions. It's just cleaning up that little 14-foot boundary adjustment between us and Alpine that we talked about. And this is just to set the public hearing, which will be April 7th.
All right. Any questions for Kelly? All right, it's an action item. Is there a motion?
I'll second.
Very good. All right, we have a motion from Bryn to approve action item 5C, resolution 2609. Second by Catherine. Is that right? Yes. All right. All right. Any further discussion? All right, Bryn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Tasha?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
All right, items approved unanimously, 4-0. That takes us to item 6, unless there's any other business that council members had or staff had they wanted to bring up.
I'll let council go first, but I do have a couple of things.
I don't have anything right now.
I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on the legislative process, if you will. It is afoot. They're in now week 3, I think, the beginning of week 3. There are a number of bills the league is tracking that have, interest and significance to us as municipalities. If you're attending LPC, you're getting that update. You can either go in person or hit the link. They've been the most attended LPC meetings in league history. Like 400 people in every meeting going forward. So the league, I'm not up there as often, although I have testified once already. So I guess I have been up there a lot. It's already only the 3rd week. I testified on the UTA transit reorganization bill. There's some other stuff coming up. There's some land use bills. So far, there's not any battle cries just yet, but stand by. So I can't think of anything really pressing to get. The property tax bills are flying around in all kinds of different iterations, but there hasn't been a coalition or coalescing around one particular one. Trying to think if there is still a chance on a LUDMA bill where the developer side of the world would like to, have their complete and total way with the state, and then we're of course trying to keep some resemblance of land use authority for local government. So, but I'll keep you posted. That's all I've got. Go ahead.
You may be aware that the legislature passed HB 48 last year regarding the WUI and the high-risk assessment areas. Even though this is a state piece of legislation, there's a lot of discussion and concern, I guess, and desire for information of the residents of Suncrest and South Mountain. If you went on to the state website to try to figure out if your property was in a high-risk area, I would say from an IT perspective, it's a mess. It's really hard to figure out. So I've talked to Chief Smith, and we're proposing that we conduct an open house here where we actually can print out a static map of, project it and engage with residents as to what HB 48 means, provide, I guess, our interpretation. Chief Smith asked, should we invite the Division of Forestry and Forest Lands? I can't remember what the name of the division is, but I prefer not to. I think we can handle providing the information and then direct folks to the proper agency to get additional information. But there's just a lot of questions as to, am I in this high-risk area? And if I am, what does that mean? And so I think as a city, we can do a lot to provide correct information for people. So if you're okay with that, I'll work with Kelly and we can find an evening that just spend an hour here to invite people to come and engage with them and give them information.
Is there consensus on that?
Everyone all right?
Yeah, that seems like a great idea.
I think it's a great idea, although I think there's some pieces that we don't really know yet.
Correct.
Like who's assessing land and.
You're absolutely right. The rulemaking process has not been completed, and so I think the best we can do at this point is say,